on him!
Welcome to Fish North Georgia's The Guide. Here's Andy Middleton.
Hey y'all, this is Andy Middleton with Fish North Georgia. We're going to go a little bit west across the border into Alabama for this fishing report. This is for Logan Martin Lake, and it's for the week of February 29th through March 5th. I was actually there on Saturday, February 29th, and then I came back again on Tuesday, March 3rd, and fished the 3rd and 4th to practice for a tournament, and fished a kayak tournament for BASS on March the 5th. So this is what I found when I went to the lake. I'd done some research beforehand, of course, and found that some of the pre-spawn things that would work would be crankbaits in about 8 to 10 foot of water, and maybe even shallower, and shaky heads and Carolina rigs. If they weren't eating the moving baits, you just fish them off points and secondary points and humps and some of those typical pre-spawn areas. So that was kind of my game plan going in. When I first got there, I launched down on the south end of the lake near the dam and started trying some of that stuff. Was throwing a Spro Little John MD and a chartreuse flatback, and I was throwing a 3/8 ounce shaky head because the wind was blowing that day, and I didn't have luck on either one of those things that day. So the only place I could find a fish on that lower end was in the back of this little pond that I kind of had to push back into, and had a deep spot in the back of it along some riprap, and I was able to catch a largemouth out of it. So armed with that knowledge, later that day I moved up above I-20 on the north half of the lake, up the Coosa River, and found a slough off the river, and found a couple of largemouth kind of midway backing it off some riprap as well. So I was starting to form a little bit of a pattern, even though it was not the typical spotted bass pattern that Logan Martin Lake is known for. It's about 75% spotted bass and 25% largemouth when you look at the black bass population. Also, Logan Martin is the third lake in the Coosa River chain. You have Lake Weiss, and then Neely Henry, then Logan Martin. Northern boundary is Neely Henry Dam. Southern boundary is Logan Martin Dam, of course. And the lake is about 15,200 acres, give or take. So the lake's bisected in half by I-20, and basically anything above I-20 is considered up the river. So that's where you're at that time. There had been a lot of rain, and there was also a lot of rain during the time that I was there. So it was muddy upriver. It was also muddy on the lower end too, but there were certain sections on the lower end where there was cleaner water, and talking to some people after the tournament, that seemed to be where the fish were if you're going for spotted bass on that lower end, was wherever they could find some clean water. But I'm comfortable fishing in current, so I went upriver and tried some of the current breaks out at the mouths of some of those sloughs for the spotted bass. Didn't have a whole lot of luck up there either on the spotted bass, but I did get on a few largemouth running those sloughs and getting into the backs of those things, and some of that more remote water. The largemouth had seemed to move up a little bit quicker than the spotted bass did, so I was finding them in a little bit shallower water, and was able to use a Nichols lure spinnerbait as a search bait that week, and was able to get on a little bit of a deal in the backs of some of those sloughs, especially where there was riprap. And then once I found those, I kind of dialed it in a little bit further and was able to pick it apart some more with a Texas rig creature bait pegged, because there was some flooded timber and flooded grass from all the rain. So I was able to use that to put together something to use on tournament day. That was a little bit off the wall, a little bit off the beaten path from the crowd that was down on the lower lake chasing the spots. So My advice for Logan Martin that time of year, especially with the influx of rain that we had, is to keep an open mind. Fish the patterns that fish the textbook stuff, and it's all about getting in the right area. I think because I was fishing really good looking water and really good looking features, but just not getting bit with the spots. But I think the key, as I said earlier, was to find the cleaner water, and that's where they were in some of those creeks. But keep an open mind and just remember, there are largemouth there, and that might be the pattern you find. It was for me that day. I ended up doing okay in the tournament. I lost a fish early that morning that would have helped me out a whole lot, but I did have the bites to get a limit. I just didn't execute personally. So just keep that in mind. And also, when you're doing your research for that lake, get on Alabama Power's website. They have a drop-down menu for each lake in that chain, or each lake really that Alabama Power runs throughout the state. And there you can find their generation schedules, and you can find what the current lake levels are, whether it's below pool or above pool. When I was there, it was 5 feet below full pool during practice, and then up there on the in the river where I was, it came up 4 feet the night before the tournament. So it kind of threw a wrench in my plans, but I had a decent area where the fish were fairly concentrated. They just pushed back a little bit more shallow toward the bank during the tournament, and when that water started coming up. So they were running 3 turbines all week, and then the night before the tournament, they actually opened the floodgates at Neely Henry Dam. So lower end of the lake did not rise quite as violently and rapidly as the upper end of the lake did, but was still able to deal with it, armed with the knowledge from the website and knowing what to expect a little bit. Water temps on the lower lake I found were about 49 to 51, and the water temps on the upper lake range from anywhere from 52 to 54. So it was just a little bit warmer up there in the upper lake. The water was a little bit dirtier, so that tends to lend itself to the water warming up quicker when the sun does come out. So keep all that stuff in mind. Fish are scattered a lot during that time of year because they don't all move up at once. Some of them are going to be out deep, some are going to be shallow, and if it's a good day and they're biting good on everything, it's one of those deals where you can really fish your strengths. But for me, it was a struggle to find the spots that I normally can find pretty easy on a Coosa River lake. So I had to go with my largemouth pattern and just bank on it. So that's it for this fishing report. Until next time, thank you to Dugout Bait and Tackle in Marietta, Georgia. Thank you to Hobie Fishing, Spro, Gamakatsu, AFCO, and St. Croix Rods, and Jasper Jeep. And I will talk to you guys next time. See you soon.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com, where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.